use variance requests require a minimum of 5 affirmative votes in order to grant the variance. Please note that any order of the board is valid for a period of 1 year. If you would like to request that the board table adjourn your case due to the absence of a full board, which tonight we do have a full board, you must inform the chairperson immediately after the public hearing. Petitioners shall do their best to limit presentations to 10 minutes. Each participant in the public hearing shall do their best to limit comments to 3 minutes. All right. As said, we've got everybody here, so therefore, is there any amendment or approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to make a quick amendment to the minutes for 4A. My name was misspelled, so if you could, 1S and 2 A's, please. Otherwise, I'll motion to approve with that modification.
Okay. Is there a second? Thank you. Any other comments or modifications? All right, seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to unfinished business, case number 25-08-18 on 1839 Roseland Avenue.
The petitioner's architect did notify staff prior to the meeting that they're still working through some plan modifications to reduce the size of the variance request. So as such, they've requested that the item be postponed again to next month.
All right. Hearing that, is there any motion to postpone it a month? All right, Mr. Moore, second over there. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of postponing till next month signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now move us to the next case, 25-08-19 for 3715 Coolidge Highway, of which I have to recuse myself due to the fact that I work with the petitioner on a daily basis and don't want any propriety. Did I see anything? All right.
This item was originally postponed from last month, but since we did have a fair number of absences, I'll still go through it again just to make sure everyone's up to date. The property is located on the west side of Coolidge Highway, just north of 13 Mile Road, and it is 51 feet in width, 103 feet in depth, and the total lot area is 5,253 square feet. And it does currently contain an existing single-family dwelling, which the petitioner is planning to demolish. And in its place, the petitioner would be constructing a new single-family dwelling with an attached rear entry garage, which would be accessed off of Mandalay Avenue. And the existing driveway and approach off of Coolidge Highway would also be removed. The survey that was provided by the petitioner's architect last month noted a 20-foot wide easement along the south side of the property, which extended the length of the property as well. Just as a background, when this lot was originally platted, that was there for the purpose of a public alley. But the city commission did take action to vacate that public alley, and they transferred ownership to the subject property. Based on some discussions that the petitioner had with the board last month, the petitioner did include additional detail on his site plan, which notes the extent of the city's easement as well as the DTE clearance requirements from the utility lines, which are present and run through the property as well. Now, these new details, of course, don't change the size of the variance or have any impact on the variance as requested. They're merely there just to provide some clarity to the board on the extents of the easement and DTE wires, and also to highlight some of the challenges with building on this lot as well. Now, for the variances specifically, at a 51-foot wide lot, it would require a minimum 5-foot north side yard setback. At the narrowest point, it's only 4 feet, so the petitioner needs a variance to waive the 1 foot. And then it would also require the standard 35-foot rear yard setback as well. The proposed house is only going to have a rear yard setback of 21.8 feet, so the petitioner needs a second variance to waive the 13.2 feet from the minimum required 35-foot east rear yard setback. Thank you.
Before we go forward, does anybody have any questions for Alex? Mr. Klatt.
Alex, I'm only looking at the site plan here. I don't have the full aerial up, but it looks like at least the neighbor to the left in this drawing violates the setback as well in the rear yard. Is that true for many of the homes in this case along the street here?
I can't speak for every single house on this particular block, but yes, I do agree with you that the house to the left, or to the north rather, would also have a non-conforming rear yard setback as it's displayed by the petitioner on this site plan.
Do you know if the house to the right, by any chances? I mean, so like the two immediate homes, are they both in violation of the same setback?
I didn't conduct that specific measurement, so I can't say definitively.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Bastian.
Alex, I'm looking at a photo of the rear of the property. Who is responsible for the concrete barriers on the property? Is that the city, or is that the responsibility of the property owner?
So this rear, I guess you could call it a retaining wall, is actually within the city's right-of-way. So the responsibility of it would fall on the engineering division. If the petitioner still wants to proceed with putting his driveway into the rear of the property to access the new garage, they would have to get the applicable engineering permit in order to, I guess, modify that retaining wall to create a new access approach for it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Reddy, you had, no? Okay, with that, the petitioner can come forward and present his case.
Thank you. My name is Joe Roman, architect and petitioner for Antonio. Anthony is with me this evening. He's a homeowner. Last month we were here and I gave a brief presentation, but I'll start over because there's more board members here. I did submit some revised drawings. This drawing, if you could, the site plan, Alex, was what I revised in addition to making some clarifications on the floor plan and elevations. In this site plan, the drawing to the left with the color, it shows you the lot, which the parcel, which is the blue and the dark orange. That is the parcel. The dark orange is the area of unbuildable area by a combination of DTE setback and the abandoned alleyway. Okay, so the blue is roughly, or is 58.7% of the lot. The dark orange is 41.3% of the lot. So a little more than half of his lot is buildable once you remove the unbuildable area by easement and DTE setback. So it's hard to see on the screen here, but I don't know if you printed them out, but there's a red line that goes through there too, which printed out clear on my drawing. Yeah, that red line is the edge of the 20-foot abandoned alley. Okay, so we cannot build any structure in that abandoned alleyway. And the abandoned alleyway does clip a piece of the existing home to the south of the lot there, and part of the shed as well. It's within that abandoned alleyway. Our parcel that we're here before you today, none of the structure proposed is crossing that red line, if you will, into the abandoned alleyway. Okay, it does encroach into the DTE easement, okay, the clear area around the utility line that runs through there, the utility easement, which is overhead. We have spent a lot of time with the DTE planners and reviewed these plans with them and what we were doing, and the pieces of the proposed plan that go into that DTE easement is a pergola and a structure for stairs coming up from a lower grade at the drive from the rear to get to the property access. They had no issues with those structures being built in their easement. There were none whatsoever, so they're fine with that. So with respect to the setbacks, we comply with the front yard setback. The front yard, average front yard setback. The front porch is allowed to extend into that 7 feet. We're roughly 6 feet, so we're good there. The north side setback of 5 feet we comply with for the dwelling, both on the first floor first floor and the second floor, including the second floor over the garage. The piece that's in violation, I should say, or the piece that we're asking a variance for, is shaded here in yellow, and that piece is the garage. So the garage, just the first story garage, that little 1 foot sliver extends into that setback. Per the building code, anything within 5 feet of the property line has to maintain a 1 hour fire rating. So we can achieve that with the block that we want to use here. And the reason why we're asking for this additional foot is so that the garage will function, because it's narrow. We wanted to get a 2-car garage in there. The total width, interior width of the garage is 19 feet clear. So you're really only going to get 1 car and then some storage in there. So we're asking for that additional foot. Also, for the garage that or the drive, the approach that we're asking to come into the garage, we're also 19 feet. So that when you pull up through the rear drive into the garage, it's 19 foot wide. You can park 2 cars in the apron before entering the garage. The homeowner, it's just him and his wife. They have no children. They have some dogs. It's not going to be busy with a lot of traffic. We just wanted to allow some off-street parking on the property in the driveway. So, Jeff, you had asked if the house to the south, the rear piece of the house, was in the rear yard setback, a portion of it, and the answer is yes. Roughly 5 feet of the rear of that home is in that rear yard setback. The massing of the home is consistent with the home to the north in positioning on the lot and so forth. With respect to the whole block, you would ask that, Jeff. The answer is no. Going further north, the houses do get smaller as you approach the next street. Don't know the name of it. So our rear yard setback is in question. We're here for a variance on that. And the reason why we're asking for that is because we're unable to get a front entry off of Coolidge Road to a garage. The most we'd be able to get using the existing cut or providing a new curb cut would be a short drive to the front of the house, and that's it. So it'd be like a parking spot. So with the utility lines that that run north from the utility easement center line prevents us from putting a new driveway along the south side of the property. So we're ultimately stuck with no choice but to put it in the rear of the lot. So lot coverage, we comply. Building height, we comply. We comply with all the other ordinances on the property. You'd asked that we demonstrate a couple things here, 4 items. And I believe that in this we have demonstrated that the chapter's restrictions unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for the permitted use, because we're only left with 60% buildable area on the lot to begin with the easements that are there. The variance does do substantial justice to the applicant as well as to the property owners, because it's consistent with them. A lesser or more relaxed request would not give substantial justice. For example, there is an existing home on the lot. It is non-conforming. It is built into the utility easement, and the utility lines cross over the roof of the home. If we added on to the rear of the home, we could do that. We would still be here before you for a rear entry garage and asking for a variance for an existing non-conforming structure, and DTE would be unhappy. So the flight of the landowner is not due, or the flight of the landowner is due to unique circumstances that exist with the property, and the hardship has certainly not been self-created. There's some public comments. Three of them. One that addresses a concern for water runoff on the Mandalay. Their concern is erosion and pooling and flooding of the street, which I don't see a concern at all. I'm not sure how that's justified. Retaining wall and supports, the removal of the retaining wall is only to prevent the drive, and the retaining wall would extend up to the home, so all the earth would certainly be retained. There's no concern for erosion whatsoever. Congestion regarding traffic, the road, Mandalay, 50-foot wide. It receives traffic both directions. There's room for on-street parking. I don't see a concern for that at all. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions for the petitioner? All right, seeing none, we'll go to public comment. So a friendly reminder for those speaking either for or against, you have 3 minutes. All right, any public comment going once, going twice, going 3 times? Okay, public comment is now closed. We'll bring it back to this side of the board. Can I get somebody to either start with discussion and or a motion? Mr. Klatt.
For the sake of discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the 2 variances.
Mr. Lineweber to second.
Second.
All right, Mr. Klatt, go for it.
So again, I think the applicant did a great job describing the challenges with this lot. And when you look at the graphic, it's a really nice graphic they provided. Almost half the lot is unbuildable. So I really see the challenge when you look at the front setback, the left-hand setback on the side yard there. They're forced to kind of push the house, towards Mandalay Avenue. And the other setback, when it comes to that 1 foot for the garage, they're looking for, it's 21 feet to the out on the garage. You factor in the exterior walls, that's, barely 20 feet to the interior dimension, which is pretty minimal for today's standards. So I don't know what else they could do here. I think this is a great design. It's a good solution to a problem here. If they have the DTE, clearance to build within that easement, I'm okay with that. So I think it's a good solution to a pretty major challenge. So that's my justification for it.
Mr. Lineweber?
Nothing really to add. I do agree. It's a good solution to find a way to build a house that is the least non-conforming that it could be while respecting the utility lines and the easement that runs through the site. So nice job to the design team.
All right, we'll go down the line. Mr. Reddy, anything? Mr. Bastian?
Actually, just a question for Alex. Do we know, have any of the other homes on this block, for one reason or another, broken through that retaining wall?
Not to my immediate knowledge, no.
And if the ZBA were to approve these variances, is it within the realm of possibility that the engineering department might still say that they could not break through that wall for one reason or another?
Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of the engineering department, but when I did present this initial design with them, showing the driveway being proposed off of Mandalay Avenue, they didn't provide any immediate objections to it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, on this side, Mr. Christensen?
I have nothing to add.
Ms. Robinson? Good. Mr. Moore? All right, I will also be voting in favor of the motion to approve. I think Mr. Klatt put it really well. That practical difficulty is pretty open and shut, in my opinion, so no objections here. With that, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. 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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Congratulations. Best of luck.
All right, thank you. So we will move on to case number 25-0921 for, let's see, 1821 North Campbell. Whenever you're ready, you may take it away.
The site's located on the west side of North Campbell Road, north of East 12 Mile. And it is currently developed with an existing one-story building, which is utilized as a pharmacy. At their July meeting, the Planning Commission did grant site plan and special land use approval to establish a coffee shop with a drive-through facility within a portion of this existing building, which would create 2 tenant spaces within. And the Planning Commission's approval is contingent upon the petitioner obtaining the 2 listed variances. So, for multi-tenant buildings, they're required to provide sufficient off-street parking to support all of the businesses within. In the building's current configuration, just as a single pharmacy, it contained 2,202 square feet of usable floor area. It's obviously now going to be decreased to accommodate for the new coffee shop. It would require now 5 off-street parking spaces. The coffee shop itself would require parking at a ratio of 1 space for every 65 square feet of usable floor area. So this new portion of the building will require a further 15 parking spaces. So the new combined total required parking on site is now 20 spaces. So the approved site plan only provides 15, so the petitioner is seeking a variance to waive 5 of the minimum required 20 off-street parking spaces. Drive-through facilities are required to also provide a continuous vehicle stacking lane as well as an escape lane. So if patrons want to leave the stacking space, they have the ability to do so. Both of those lanes respectively are too narrow and they do not meet the width provisions of the zoning ordinance as well. The zoning ordinance also requires the stacking spaces to require no less than the ability to hold 8 cars. So on the approved site plan, it does have the capacity to support all 8 vehicles. However, you can see the last vehicle does block access to parking spaces numbered 9 and 10. And the zoning ordinance does prohibit vehicles from inhibiting access to any of the off-street parking spaces. So the petitioner is seeking a 4th variance to waive the prohibition of a vehicle stacking space from obstructing access to any off-street parking spaces. Thank you.
All right. Questions? I think I saw Mr. Reddy first, then Mr. Clapp, then Mr. Lightweber.
I had a question about the parking spot calculation.
Okay.
Is it the same if a restaurant has drive-through and if it doesn't?
Yeah,
Or it's the same?
If there's any provision of tables on the interior, we do have to count it as a standard restaurant, which is 1 per 65.
Okay, so, yeah, got it.
I was just going to ask, do you recall the history of this? I recall it was a chiropractic office maybe a few years ago, but was it originally a bank?
Wayne Oakland.
Yes, this was originally a bank, and it did actually used to have a drive-through facility with the bank as well.
And I was going to say, did it comply as a bank? Did it have the proper, I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm sure the ordinance may have changed or adjusted since then, but did it comply? I assume the stacking may be comparable from a bank to a coffee shop. I don't know, but it had a similar use, right? It had a drive-through lane. It had stacking spaces.
That's correct. There was a previously drive-through there as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Lightweber, then Mr. Moore. Then.
Just to add on to that comment, one of the photos show you can see the pavement of the site, and you can see that it appears that when it was a bank, that the teller window was actually in that second bump in, I guess we'll call it. If the pavement markings are an indication, there's one right there, I think. And you can see they had 2 tellers, or maybe a pneumatic tube or something. The question, Alex, just out of interest, the parking lots or the parking spaces that go over the property line, is that allowed by the city?
There was previously a license agreement that was signed between the prior property owner with the city commission to allow them to essentially encroach into the city's right-of-way on Red Run Drive to the north.
Okay, and when the nature of the I guess engineering, traffic engineering, and the kind of flow through this, there's numerous, obviously, issues that are presented. Does the city engineer or traffic engineer kind of weigh in on how severe some of these items are? We're being asked to do that, but are there experts that kind of review this in the process?
When this item originally went before this planning commission, prior to when we actually put it on an agenda to go before the planning commission, we did solicit comments from various divisions within the city. So it was reviewed by the fire marshal as well as engineering, and we did incorporate some of their comments that we then provided to the petitioner.
Okay, so it's already gone through that process as part of the planning commission's review. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, then Mr. or Mr. Wolf, and then Mr. Cladigan.
The parking calculation for a pharmacy, does that differ depending on if it's a retail pharmacy or a delivery pharmacy concept, or is it still the same?
We calculated it based upon one space for every 250 square feet of usable floor area, so that would be in line with a retail pharmacy.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Wolf?
And just to add to that, I'm assuming that this building was correctly parked out for a existing pharmacy?
Yeah, so actually in its current configuration, it does provide sufficient parking.
Okay.
Mr. Cladigan?
I was going to say, Alex, can you explain the parking required for the coffee shop? I mean, they have tables and seating shown. This may be more of an applicant question. How many staff members do they have? It looks like there's maybe 10 seats in the customer area. And I know that can fluctuate. This is just an architectural plan, but did you say 15, I believe? 15? I can't recall what you said.
15.
The number of...
Yeah, there's 15 parking spaces required for the coffee
this,
shop component,
okay.
Yes.
And that's just based on square footage, not number of tables or seats.
Right.
Any other questions? The only one I might ask is, assuming this gets passed, and say later on down the line, someone like Starbucks or other franchise comes in and buys out the rest of the pharmacy and does it, do they have to come back before us for the parking at that point, or no, it's still good? And
Well, technically, yes, because if it was a full coffee shop,
Okay.
then that would impact the amount of parking that's calculated for the site.
okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to verify that was the case. Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, if the petitioner is present, you may come forward and present your case.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Kwasnick with Architectural Intelligence. I'm the architect.
Good evening. I'm Wes. I'm the pharmacist, pharmacy owner, and the petitioner as well. I'm not too technical, so I'm going to let Steve here talk, but I want to answer to some of the questions. First of all, the pharmacy is a closed-door pharmacy, not a retail. 100%, we're not allowed to have a walk-ins. We're only serving senior homes. So there is no traffic or utilization of the parking lots whatsoever in this regard. So, and also the coffee shop portion is mainly the drive-through focus. So, and it's only like 900 square feet, a little bit more than 900, but less than 1,000 square feet. So that's all what I want to share. The rest and technicality, Steve can talk.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, yeah, this is not a typical pharmacy, but we had to fall under the typical retail standard because Royal Oak didn't have anything for a home delivery, or actually nursing home delivery pharmacy business. And then the coffee shop is really intended to be a neighborhood coffee shop. We're not competing with Starbucks, obviously, because the size is so small. And this is not a standard restaurant. That was a good question he asked. Yeah, we looked at parking under standard restaurant because that's all it is. You don't have another coffee shop variable. So pharmacy and the coffee shop, we had to kind of follow what your ordinance was originally, and we're kind of smaller niche as opposed to what the ordinance says. So that's why we're seeking a couple of variances here. So we did, if you would put the site plan back up, in Planning Commission, we had an encroachment, and you can see those couple spaces that are X'd out on the north end, right in the center, right there, yes. We had 2 spaces that the Planning Commission wanted us to eliminate to help the traffic flow through the site. So originally, we would be seeking a variance of 3. They nixed those 2, hence now we have to go to 5. We actually went to the next door neighbor, the Shell gas station, or the gas station that's there. They have an expansion program. They're buying the building that's right there at the bottom, adjacent to our property. They're knocking that down, and they're expanding their gas station. And in talking with planning department, when we talked to the owner, they had additional parking that we actually had to sign a lease agreement for 3 spaces. But in the Planning Commission, Joe Murphy said, well, they're not done built yet. They don't have everything striped out yet. So that's been in the process of working. So at this date and time, they said we couldn't use that agreement to take the 3 spaces next door. So otherwise, we wouldn't be seeking any variance. But that's why we're here now. So, if you want me to go through the other ones, the minimum stacking space that we're seeking a variance for, the 12-foot, width, most other municipalities are 10, 11 feet. Southfield's 10, Taylor's 10. There's a lot of places that are different. The standard, I've done some standard other coffee shops, Tim Hortons and so forth. Their standard drive-through is 10 feet wide. So ours, the Royal Oaks is 12. It's a little more than other municipalities. So it is what it is. And being a previous bank building, somebody caught it very well on the infill where the island was in the middle, where the bank drive-through window was. Those were 8 feet lanes. If you went out there and measure the concrete that was put in. So I don't know how anybody, if those 2 were drive-through windows, there would be no escape lane to get out. You'd literally have to wait until somebody pulled through there. So there's no way that would have met today's standards. So we're kind of stuck. The site it's a unique existing condition, so we're kind of stuck with unique conditions right now. So we're doing the best we can to work with them, and I think we met everything with the exception of the couple of variances. And the stacking space that we're looking at, we're going to have the staff park in space 9 and 10, so they'll be there all day. So as far as for customer parking, that won't ever be an issue. And on the pharmacy, they have 3, 4 employees, and that's it. It's a closed-door pharmacy. So, and I'll answer any questions if you have.
Mr. Clanton, Mr. Wolf, and Mr. Moore.
You mentioned it's a closed-door pharmacy. How many staff members do you have within the pharmacy?
3 in the pharmacy.
3? Okay, so you need 3 parking spaces for the 3 staff members. And then I'm a bit confused. You mentioned the gas station and 3 where are these 3 parkings? Is this on the south of the?
Yes, this is the gas station that's to the south of us. Yes.
So you're
see the building that's right there, that small little building that's right on,
Yes.
on the property line. They purchased that.
Yep.
So their idea was to expand the gas station and have parking along the back wall that's there. That's their plan.
So are you
And
suggesting?
there's really no access to that little building right now. There's a retaining wall on our property, so I don't know, you would have to access that building next door from the gas station. There is an easement that was mentioned in the Planning Commission meeting that is at the, would be the west end of the property, but that's a retaining wall. You're just falling down, so I don't know how, that probably was years ago. That was a vacated alley at the end of that property, so that's probably where that started from. So it's kind of a really unusual, and I would assume everyone's gone and seen the site and seen the retaining wall that's there. And our goal would be there are concrete bumpers along that south property line you can see in the photos. And once that building is demolished, we would remove the concrete bumpers there. See the bumpers right down? Yep, right there. And that's a retaining wall that's right there. That's our property line. And we won't have any need for the bumpers there, the concrete bumpers. So we'll try to get as much, that will give us as much room as we can get.
Mr. Moore, then Mr. Wolf, and we'll see, Mr. Robinson.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for mentioning the type of pharmacy. I already knew the answer to that, so.
And thank you for the question.
Sure. You said you have 3 employees at the pharmacy, and was it 2 dedicated to the coffee shop? So that's 5 of the parking spots that will be filled with employees. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning for one for the coffee shop, additional for the coffee shop. If the business will pick up, it will be 2, yes.
And what are your hours for the business going to be?
Initially, I'm thinking about half a day, like 6 in the morning till maybe 2 or 3 initially.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm hoping, to extend it, to be a seating for students with a high-speed internet if things goes well. But initially, it's going to be 6 in the morning till 3.
Okay.
And then what's in the current pharmacy? They work from what to what? 9 to 5? 9 to 5.
For the pharmacy.
Okay.
You may not know this yet, but we've inquired with other coffee places that have come before us. Do you know what your average time will be per transaction? Because I'm a little concerned about the stacking and making sure that people aren't hanging out into the road. We have other places in town that have that issue, so I'm just curious if you have a sense of what that will be.
My plan is to use Michigan-based, ready-to-go Cadillacs. The company's Cadillac. It's Michigan-based coffee, along with a little bit of elite coffee, which is Italian one. So everything, is going to be ready to go. So I believe under 2 minutes.
Not a lot of custom orders, things like that. This will be more ready to go kind of stuff.
I'm going for a very simple, nice, place, good coffee, to go menu. So it's a minute or 2.
We're not.
All right.
He's not competing against Starbucks.
Sure.
That's kind of the whole issue.
Yeah. Understood.
We're not going to have 25 different choices on the menu board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wolf, then Ms. Robinson, then Mr. Lineweber, then back to Mr. Crack.
I just wanted to confirm where it says no parking. Those were the 2 spots that the planning commission took away, or are they marked elsewhere? Okay, that was the first question. The second question kind of goes back to what you had talked about, hopefully down the road, where you would like to have, students, or I work from home full time and I love working from coffee shops, but that means that my truck is going to be there for hours on end. So I'm going to be taking up a parking spot. Is that going to be, how do you propose addressing that issue when hopefully it comes to that?
We won't have that many seats. That's the thing. The seating's going to be very limited.
That's fine, but after hours, if I'm thinking to explore that kind of option, it's going to be when the pharmacy is completely closed. So in this case, there is extra parking space that's not used. That's if I decide to do so.
So just to jump in. So are you saying closed for the day, or are you planning on fully closing the pharmacy and expanding the coffee shop?
No, closed for the day.
Okay.
We're 9 to 5, so if I'm extending hours and make it seating for students, the pharmacy will be closed.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Robinson?
Just to clear, you said something about you're just serving coffee. You're not doing sandwiches and food. This is really a coffee shop. That's what.
Coffee shop. Anything we serve is going to be pre-made.
Okay. I like the idea of this little in and out kind of coffee shop fast. You mentioned something about that retaining wall. That retaining wall will be gone, and then that area will be flat.
No. The retaining wall stays.
Has to stay. Okay.
Because
even
the
if they tear down that building.
Right, if they tear down the building, they'll have to extend the retaining wall, because there's a difference in
Gotcha,
grade.
okay.
It's about a 2-foot drop there.
Okay.
So right now, the building is flush with right at the retaining wall, so that's up to
that has to stay.
Right.
I don't know if I should really admit this or not, but many years ago, I worked that teller window for Wayne Oakland Banks. So I remember the cars going through there. And back I'm talking 50 years ago or more, those cars were bigger, and I never remember that being a problem of whether it was stacking. Of course, that was a long time ago. But, yeah, so I think it's going to make great.
Wayne, I was wondering what bank it was. Wayne Oakland way back when. Okay.
I think it was
Mr. Longworth.
National Bank.
National Bank. It was it.
You mentioned that the intent when the building is torn down, that you would be able to utilize, I think, more of the paved surface area toward that building. You would remove that barrier that runs down the length of the site. Is
Those,
that right?
the concrete bumpers that are there.
Yes.
Yeah, we would just take those bumpers off.
If that building does not get removed, your plan would then be to leave those bumpers?
Well, we would, just so nobody hits the building.
So nobody
Yeah,
hits the building?
Yeah, but we're told that building's coming
I'm a
down.
friend of Nick, the owner of the gas station, who gave me 3 parking spots, which is my staff will be parking as his on his lot. And he already purchased this building to knock it down, and he has a plan to build a building all the way in the back and make the entrance of his gas station wider. So it is gonna get knocked down.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's your understanding of his plan.
And he applied to do that already to the city, so.
Okay. If the building does not get torn down, at least, or not right away, the dimension that you have, that 20-foot 6, is building to building, and that throat kind of coming between the two. But subtract a couple of feet for the bumpers that are there now, effectively.
Or we
right?
could just we can take the bumpers out right now.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make sure we understand, that situation. So
Yep.
it may be a bit tighter than even the dimensions that we have here.
Okay. And I'm just saying that the bank survived it, and I don't know how they survived it, but they did.
Yeah, by looking at the site, it appears that their queuing area is actually further back than what you have planned. So you're creating the window further up than
Okay.
what they had
On one car
had.
spot, yep.
Is there on-street parking on Red Run in this area? Do we know?
Yes, there is. I know
There
that.
is.
Yep. Because I park on the street when I kind of come down around the corner.
So, okay, and then but that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Mr. Clapp?
So I may be confused regarding the south lot line, but, I frequent the Jack's Car Wash quite a bit at 11 and Woodward. And I think that's been in front of us several times, where you've got their queuing lanes and they have some staff parking that's kind of buried. So the staff has to kind of, they have to jockey cars to get out. And so that was my question. Look, I think Mr. Lambert brought it up, we have 20-foot 3 inches there. Like, are there provisions to allow staff parking along that south lot line, knowing that they may not be able to get out because cars could be stacked there, but can there be some jockeying for cars? Maybe because we're talking about 15 parking spaces for the restaurant. Can we sneak 5 parallel parking spaces along that southern lot line if it complies with the ordinance spacings?
I don't think that would be an option, because at that point in time, you would be encroaching into what's called the escape lane for the vehicle stacking.
Good point,
Yep.
good point. Thank you. Yep, I forgot about that. Good point.
Mr. Basham?
And we tried that originally, Jeff, and
Yeah, good point.
parallel, we need 25-foot length, so you might be able to squeeze one in, but you'd be moving the dumpster elsewhere, and we couldn't do that.
It's great coffee. Who's going to escape? I mean, come on. Good.
So you had said you currently have 3 employees at the pharmacy on staff, and then you anticipate 2 at the coffee shop. And I believe I heard that spaces 9 and 10 would be designated for staff.
Correct.
So that's 2 individuals.
Correct.
The other 3 individuals, do we have a plan for where they would be parking? Because assuming there's some overlapping of hours of the 2 businesses, I understand you anticipate the coffee shop to close at 2, whereas the pharmacy closes at 5, but that sounds like 5 people there at a time.
Space 14 and 15 would be the other 2 along the end of the parking lot there by the dumpster.
Okay.
which would be the far west, and then one would just have to be the last one, right at the space before you can get on a red line.
And then, were you anticipating putting up signage designating these as staff parking spaces?
Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe just trying to think outside the box a little bit and sort of extending the width for the escape lane. Would you consider taking spaces 9 through 13 as staff parking and designating them as such? And then, assuming the staff are going to be there all day, the stacking doesn't become so much of an issue of anyone that might be parked in spaces 11 through 13.
Yeah, we could do that too. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a logistics thing when we, yeah.
Certainly. I'm just trying to give everybody as much movement as possible. And I see people parked in 11, 12, and 13. Hopefully the business does well. All of a sudden they're blocked in. But if the staff are there, then that becomes less of a concern.
Correct. I agree.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? The only thing I would say against that would be then if there's people who are going to the coffee and they're parking in 14, 15, now they're having to cross 2 lanes to get to the coffee shop, and that could be not the safest thing to do. But it's logistics. They have to figure out what's best for everyone. If there's no other comments or questions, thank you very much. We'll open up public comment.
Thank you.
Is there anyone to speak for or against this case? You may come forward at this time. Going once? Going twice? All right, public comment is closed. We will bring it to the side of the board. Is there any discussion and or motions? Don't all jump at Mr. Wolf, was that your hand? Oh.
I would motion to approve all variants as requested with the proviso that they explore spaces 9 through 13 as staff parking. I absolutely understand and agree with your concerns about crossing further parking lanes, but I think given the fact that these vehicles would likely be stacked and moving at a slow rate of speed, if at all, that most individuals would not view that as a dangerous proposition.
But I'll assume that's a second. I will have a question for you as to whether or not we can even do such a provision and whether or not it should be done is maybe something Mr. Kaluzny can speak to that.
I would advise against putting that as a contingency on the motion simply because there's not really a mechanism in place for staff to, I guess, enforce that.
Fair. Then I would rescind the motion and make a different motion to just approve as writ.
Okay. Mr. Wolf, do you still second? Okay. Then go ahead.
I think that this is a unique circumstance based on the building and based on the space of the land. I think that the petitioner has done a fine job in trying to work within the parameters that they were given. And I see the hardship being the parameters of the building and the perimeter. And I agree that I simply think that they've done the best job and that this should be approved.
Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, I will echo everything that Mr. Bastian just said. The practical difficulty is that it was legally parked as a pharmacy, and now they're changing use, and so we obviously want buildings to have new leases on life, and so hopefully that I hope they have the problem of having kids or whoever stay there for hours and. But at least for right now, it seems that it's pretty, it seems pretty practical to the way that they're planning on it. The only thing that I have some concern about, and I drove my truck through it, kind of as pretending that I was going through the drive-through. I believe that the dumpster is currently on space number 9, if I'm recalling correctly, at least as of last week. I would hope that I'm assuming that's going to get moved once everything's all said and done.
Yes, it moves down to the corner.
Okay, I assumed
And
as
there
such.
is no dumpster enclosure there now, if you notice. It's just plopped in the middle of the parking lot.
I noticed that, and so that gave me a little bit of pause, but just confirming what I saw there makes me feel like maybe, I think it'll be fine. So no issues here.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah, given the fact that the pharmacy is not a retail pharmacy with customers coming and going, the majority of the parking is dedicated to the coffee business, so I feel that they personally have adequate parking.
Any other comments? Once, twice? I too shall be in favor of this motion. I think the practical difficulty is quite obvious, as some of you have stated. This is not a retail pharmacy. The coffee shop, should this have been Starbucks, might have been, or something else, might have been totally different of knowing how the queuing would work in that. But considering this is a small coffee shop that is local, that doesn't have any kind of franchisee, and its hours are limited, and if it does get good and expand, they'd have to come back before us. I'd have, if they didn't, I'd have more reservation, but since they have to come back before us, I have a lot less reservation on lack of parking. So I do believe the hardship is there, and I'm fine with going with it. If there's no other comments, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you for making that building already much better than it's been in years. I very much.
I'm glad you like it.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so that moves us on to number 2509-22 for 319 Parkdale Ave. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. This site's located on the north side of Parkdale Avenue, just east of North Main Street, and it's in the one-family residential zoning district. The property is 60 feet in width, a little bit over 93 feet in depth, and the total lot area is about 5,600 square feet. So I will point out right off the bat that the lot itself maintains a non-conforming lot depth. The standard zoning ordinance language requires a lot depth of at least 100 feet, and obviously it's only a little bit over 93 feet. The petitioner is proposing to construct a new rear yard addition at the back of the dwelling, and the zoning ordinance, of course, requires a minimum 35-foot rear yard setback. The house in its current configuration does maintain a compliant rear yard setback, but as a result of the addition, it's now only going to be 22.3 feet. So the petitioner is just seeking the one variance to waive the 12.7 feet from the minimum required 35-foot rear yard setback. There are a few other anecdotal items I'd like to point out to the board. There is a second driveway and approach on site, which is actually non-conforming. Staff will just simply regard this as an existing non-conforming element, so this would have no bearing on the variance requested. And then lastly, the house actually right next door to the right at 329 Parkdale Avenue actually did receive essentially the same variance request a few years ago. Now this shouldn't be the basis for the board's decision, nor should it be precedent setting, but I just wanted to point that out just to reveal some of the challenges with doing building additions on the lots on this block. Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Reddy?
The petitioner's letter references a previous denial. Is that just from the, like with this current?
I believe that's referencing a building permit denial because that's how this originally started.
Okay. Mr. Clapp?
I assume no, but are there any provisions of detached structure to house? Are there any provisions of separation between the two? It looks pretty close. You go corner to corner from the detached garage to the addition.
Yeah.
There's no provision specifically in the zoning ordinance. There could be in the state building code, but nothing that this board can review or enforce at this point in time.
And then last question, the side yard setback on that 93.3 on the left-hand side, is that 5 or 10 feet on that side yard?
So for the side yard setback would just be, it would be 5 feet
Okay.
for a lot of this width, yes.
So if the addition were built in to the left instead of to the rear yard, it could comply at the same size, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, if the petitioner is present, you may come forward and present your case.
This is Marlene Chapman. I'm her son-in-law, Jason Jones, and I was going to be the contractor on the job. She's a little nervous of public speaking, so I'm going to try to help you out with this. We were trying to get this petition, or this appeal approved. Currently, in the proposed addition spot, there is a deck. That's where we got the idea that if this deck was just an addition, that Marlene would have a first floor bathroom, first floor bedroom, and first floor laundry. Currently, everything's located on the second floor. Marlene's lived there almost her entire life. She doesn't want to leave Royal Oak. She doesn't want to leave the house. So what we're appealing or trying to build here is some comfort for her, the comfort for the rest of the family, that we wouldn't have to worry about her going up and down the stairs, you know, especially the laundry, going from the basement up to the second floor is becoming strenuous. So we did entertain the idea of moving the addition to the west side. She felt like that it wouldn't have it looked like an eyesore, for lack of better terms.
Right.
And with the way the house worked out, then her bedroom would be right out to the main area. She wasn't, so we were trying to appeal to do this instead. And you can see where the deck is there. We wouldn't be approaching anything other than that. The deck had permits and was approved, but I understand that the code for the deck and the code for the addition are different. So that's kind of what we're trying to, I guess, achieve here.
Okay. Any questions for the petitioner? Mr. Clapp?
Yeah, that was my only question, because you have a wide lot at 60 feet, so did your design team explore that addition on the west side to see if, I mean, it looks like based on the floor plan, it probably encroach upon the dining room windows. And I understand the massing, trying to make the roof lines work and trying to make it look attractive on the side there. There was a bit of a bump out in the dining room. So I see the struggle there. I just don't see the existing plans. I can see there's a new bathroom that's proposed just behind the dining room. I assume that may have been something else, or that's currently something different than a bathroom, maybe?
It's like a den.
Okay, got it. But, so you just don't feel it'll look attractive if you take that new bedroom and place it on the west side?
Then I'd have to, it would be off of my dining room, and I really don't want a bedroom off of my dining room.
Okay.
And we would lose the bay window, of course.
Yeah.
For sure. I was just thinking about preserving your rear yard space, the more private side of the house, but, okay, thank you for that.
Any other, Ms. Robinson?
The people behind you, did you talk to them about that new addition going on in the back?
Yes, I've talked to,
And they were okay?
yeah,
with
no
that?
one had a problem with it.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay. You're pointing to someone.
No, I thought somebody had a question.
Okay. Anyone over here? Okay. No. Okay. If there's no other questions, thank you very much. We'll open up public comment for this. If there's anyone to speak for or against this case, you may come forward at this time. Going once? Oh, yep. Come on.
I just want to speak for the case. I'm Randy Jones. That's Marlene's daughter. That's there. The biggest issue that we had with putting the bedroom on the left, losing that space, is not only that, but the yard that you have that's in there as well. Making sure that she's going to be able to, in the event she has, let's say, a wheelchair and she goes there, the corner she would have to turn to get in there, whereas this would be more of a straight shot for her to be able to get into the bedroom and have a bathroom that's easily accessible from that area versus changing to the side, that's more area for her to be able to walk, even walker-wise or type of a thing. So a lot of it's going to be more comfort for Marlene in that sense. That's all. Oh, any questions?
Any other comments? Thank you. Going once? Going twice? All right, public, calling 3 times. Public comment is closed. We'll bring it back to the side. Motions, Mr. Moore.
Yeah, motion to approve the variance as requested.
Okay, I'm going to assume Mr. Cladd is going to second.
Well, I had a question, but
Oh.
that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. I don't need to. I'm okay now.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Is there a second?
we have a second?
Is there a second?
Oh, I thought you were saying you were okay
No,
with
I
saying-
didn't.
Okay,
No,
okay,
sorry. I didn't say.
I misunderstood. Okay, there's a second.
Sure. I fully support people aging in place, and I feel like at some point, people who have lived in a home for most of their life, they don't want to move. They need certain things as they're aging, and I fully support that. And therein, to me, lies the practical difficulty in this situation.
So one of the tools that I'm engaged with being a realtor is access to the public record of a home, and I have that pulled up right now. And the last sale of this home is not even showing in the public record, and the last sale price shows us $21,000. So that lets me know it's obviously been quite some time that they've had this home. Knowing that, and to echo what Mr. Moore says, I absolutely support the ability for residents to age in place. And as I look at photos of the home, we've asked the petitioner if they have explored moving into the west yard. I see a bay window. I see a high belt line on the foundation. I see an air conditioning unit outside. So I see a practical difficulty in moving to the west. And I think that by granting this variance, we're doing substantial justice, not just to the petitioner, but also, as they mentioned, to the neighbors, because this moves the extension behind the house as opposed to into the side yard, which ultimately I think does wind up preserving more green space. So that's why I would be in favor.
All right. Other comments? Mr. Langweber and then Mr. Cladd.
When I look at the neighborhood, the house to the right is almost the same positioning on the site, but they've added they've used that second approach to put in a large garage in the back, so an accessory building. It's interesting to see kind of the before and after, because that's really what we're looking at here. I do like, the idea of putting adding this first floor bedroom, bathroom for the purposes of aging in place, which these old bungalows do not accommodate very well. I would have liked to have seen the kind of exploration of how that would have worked on the left-hand side, because there is such a large opportunity there. But when you see kind of the result of moving it to the back, as well as further development with the neighbor's house, it can be accommodated, I think. So I'll be in support of the motion.
All right. Mr. Cladd?
No, those are my initial concerns, is in the spirit of reducing or eliminating variances. Like, why can't it go on the left or the west side? But after hearing your commentary about that, and it would almost split or, I guess, bifurcate the 2 yards. And this is kind of nice that the side yard and rear yard kind of flow together. If we turned it to the left, it would almost segment those two. So it makes sense, and plus it's concealed from the public way, so it's tucked behind the house. It's not really impacting anyone, and it seems to flow better. It's not impacting the dining room, so it makes sense after hearing all the different points of view. So I'll be in support.
Okay. Any other comments? I was struggling a little bit with this one. Thank you for your comments. A lot of them have helped me. I will probably be in support of this one, partially because of, yes, stuff that brought up like the air conditioning unit. Although, as an architect, I could definitely see where I could put the dining room more in the front and create a nice porch in the front of that and put the bedroom where the dining room is now. I can understand that would then break up that nice green space that's separating the two houses between their neighbor, which I'm sure their neighbor pretty much enjoys having that nice big green buffer there. So, and also it would change a little bit of the character of the neighborhood on that side of how wide the houses are. So I think because of all those items, I can definitely see the practical difficulty that they're trying to age in place as well as make it work for everybody in the neighborhood. So in that case, I'm going to be for it. All right, if there's no other comments, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, so we have one other item for other business. There was a request to reconsider case number 25-06-15. However, being this the state of Michigan, there is the rule of a city zoning board of appeals cannot reconsider its own denial of a dimensional variance. The only recourse after denial is to appeal the final decision to the state circuit court. The ZBA's decisions are considered final and are not subject to reconsideration by the ZBA itself or other local government bodies through MCL 125.3605. The Michigan Zoning Enabling Act grants ZBAs the power to reverse, affirm, or modify decisions, but once a decision is made, it's final. A party who's aggrieved by a ZBA decision, only option is to appeal to the circuit court in the county where the property is located. So unfortunately, with that, yes?
I have a question. Maybe this is a legal question. I know we've had reconsiderations brought to us in the past. What was the kind of difference that caused this one to not be appealable?
Well, I believe the difference is we realized that we were wrong, and the motions for reconsideration or requests should not have been brought before the zoning board because the Zoning Enabling Act controls. So because of that, we're realizing, hey, we were wrong. This should not be before the board. And so that's the reasoning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, there's nothing to motion or anything. It's just a statement. So that's it for other business. Public comment. If there's anyone for public comment, you may come forward and speak at this time.
Yeah, good evening. I'm the petitioner for the reconsideration request. And so I think if you look at the zoning, first of all, as it was pointed out, there's been plenty of other reconsiderations of denied variances. It's in the zoning board's own rules that allow for reconsiderations. If you look at the language of the statute states that one can certainly go to the court to appeal, right? But the statute doesn't say that that's the only option. Moreover, local authorities, local cities are allowed to have their own zoning board rules, right? It's actually in the zoning board rules. So if the city attorney, right, provides legal counsel to the board, so the board has the power to accept that guidance or not. If the board chooses to accept the guidance, essentially you're going to have a situation where you have a written rule on the books that's being enforced arbitrarily. That's not how due process works. The correct process would be to go back, remove the rule, but until that takes place, the zoning board is allowed to enforce the rules that are on the books. You have here a rule that allows for reconsideration. Let's pull up the rule if you'd like. We can pull up the rule. It's not limited to, I should say it doesn't exclude final decisions. So I would encourage the board to make its own decision. I think if it starts arbitrarily choosing when and when not to enforce rules that are on the books, there might be a greater legal risk here.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment. Right. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. We're done.